Hello and welcome everybody back to the Dumbass class with me, the Dyslexic Gamer, as we carry on our tabletop RPG series of Warhammer Fantasy, Mordheim, City of the Damned, A Leaf Too Far. In the last episode, our group of adventurers and heroes had fought alongside each other in a impromptu battle against some hideous goblin foes. Of course, our team of heroes had easily slain the goblins and routed them. The aftermath was quite gruesome, as some of our members went around picking up the loot from the goblins and others saw to the injuries. You've all had your chance to be healed. Whether it worked or not,
I don't think I received
you got 1 HP back.
Oh.
Plus you're heavily wounded, so you can only get 1 HP back. Remember, if you go down to 3 hit points, you are heavily wounded.
It's sad. It's very, very sad.
Yes, it is. After you had a short discussion, you've seen the labourers and the serfs loading all of the cargo back onto the merchant noble's trader's vessel. You have some time if you want to have a chat with each other. Otherwise, we can get you all onto the boat.
Where will I tackle the payment issues?
The merchant is currently on the boat, so unless you wanted to scream at him from the shoreline, then yeah, you might want to wait until you're next to him.
Then.
Okay.
Did we already bury the dogs?
Pretty sure we did.
Yes,
I think.
the dogs were. You did bury the dogs that had fallen in the combat. I believe you found a place under a tree to bury them.
We
Okay,
sent
just
them off
wondering.
with great honors.
Did I not remove their
For they
bodies?
were
I
good
didn't.
boys.
That's why.
No.
No, I'll remove them now.
Back to me boat.
I forgot to ask that last time, but when can we spend XP?
Between sessions?
Between sessions.
Okay.
If you forgot to last time, you can spend it now if you want, because this is only the second time you guys have played at my table. Okay, so the group gathers up their loot. You manage to get a dirty cloth, a tarp almost, and wrap up your loot, and it gets stowed away on board the merchant's vessel. There's not much room for luxuries aboard this ship, although the merchant noble has managed to squeeze in his luxuries. There's a small sleeping area underneath the deck of the ship where you were all squeezed in. It is not comfortable, it is cramped, but it's warm, dry, and safe.
I will try to find the merchant alone.
Sure. I will just bring you over to the world map, so you can see. If you look all the way down south, you'll see your vessel.
Hey,
It's
we're
quite
here,
easy
next to Kel.
to find the merchant noble. You are at the bow of the vessel, the front, and he is at the stern. I'm really hoping I'm getting these words right. I believe I am. Which is at the back of the vessel. He actually has a cabin, and you'd see that the mercenary who was not injured, he sits guard. He's still quite exhausted from the fight. Excuse me. He's still quite exhausted from the fight. So he's currently sat on a stool with his back against the cabin's walls. He sees you approach. You would know that the merchant noble. That's where he rests. You would also know that the merchant noble's name is Magness von Humperdinck.
I'm sorry.
Melius.
Say it again, sorry?
Magness von Humperdinck.
Okay, I understood Pumperdinck for some reason.
I understood Humpy Dunk.
It's van Humperdinck.
Humperdinck.
Melius on
Humperdinck.
Yes.
Humpdink or Humperdinck?
Humperdinck. Dink.
Humperdinck.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Definitely not related to someone in an alternate universe.
No.
Definitely not. Why would you ever think so?
Oh, you must be joking.
I don't steal my names from other places. What are you saying?
Not at all.
It's not stealing, it's creative inspiration.
But the mercenary doesn't really stop you. You would have had to speak to the merchant on a number of occasions about fixing this and doing that.
I greet Sir von Humperdinck.
He's in his quarters. You're just at the front door.
I knock the door and call out. No, Lord, it's Black Hand.
Can this, yes, come in. Black Hand, as you open the door and enter, you see that he is laid upon a lounge, I can never say this word, a lounge. A lounge? It's one of those seats that's...
A lounge.
A lounge. He has his legs up. He's sat with his back against the rest. He has a fan in his hand and he wafts cold air as he has a glass of wine in the other hand. He looks quite rattled as, what is wrong? Black Hand is something in need of repair.
Not exactly, sir, but I notice you are still under quite a duress.
Oh yes, it was quite an ordeal. My cargo was almost taken from me. I mean, can you imagine those filthy green buggers just stealing it all? Oh! He begins to
I
waft
actually
harder
can
with his
imagine
hand.
it, especially with so little mercenaries apparent.
His wafting of the fan suddenly stops, and his jiggling jaw comes set, solid, and well, there simply weren't enough to be hired. It is all to do with the times we live in,
Yes,
Black Hand.
the shop market is quite tiny today. What would you say of recruiting myself to your cause together with my human compatriots? Add some little extra to it, and hire us as mercenaries. We seem to be more than capable of helping the other mercenaries in defending your precious cargo.
Well, there are things that must be, taken into account. The bottom line, after all. So I would be it'd be regrettable of me to attempt to empty my purse much more. But I see your point, Black Hand. It is true that you and the oarsman, the boatman, did assist along with the scholar for whatever reason. You'd think he would be more likely to protect his knowledge, but perhaps not.
He is a courageous one, the scholar.
He takes an abacus out from the side of his long j of his couch, and he begins moving different denominations around. You can see that the top row is in bronze, the bottom row, the middle row in silver, the bottom in gold, and the fourth row.
I have seen this before.
Is just an abacus, a calculation device.
Yeah,
you would...
it's a box standard abacus, like there are thousands of.
Yes, but his is clearly of fine make. There would be no other reason to have the denominations broken down into their colours, metals. But he has enough money to be able to afford such a thing. The fourth row is of a strange metal, very strange metal. Roll me your common law dwarves with a -10.
Okay.
The pieces at the bottom are very small, but they are of a different...
-10.
Yes.
And roll.
They're of a different metal. You're not quite sure what metal it is exactly, but you know that there's bronze, there's silver, there's gold, and this other metal you're not sure about, but you can note it in your character sheet that you may want to think upon it again at a later date. He moves some numbers round, and we haven't exactly made much money, and of course, as mercenaries, you would get the spoils of the battle, and such forth and so on. So I would only be willing to pay you an extra. He moves another few denominations around. An extra 3 gold for each of you for the set duration. It's only 3 weeks, after all.
Okay. That won't be much agreeable, Lord.
Well, yes, yes. Well, he begins looking around. He takes a large...
Do you need my help with something else, by chance? No, I'm here anyway.
He drinks a large, almost half a glass of wine in one hit before placing an almost empty glass onto his little table, and he places his abacus down and he begins to look around, and yes, and he takes a large sack. It's not it'd be a very small sack, but it's obviously very heavy as he pulls it close into him and opens it up, and the 9 gold, an extra 3 for each of yourself and the other 2, but you will have to fight alongside with the elves. I hope that's not an issue for you.
So those are the elves. I thought they were weird humans. Just out of character. Would I know of a description of the elves in my character?
Yes, not? You'd know about elves. You know.
Would I know how they would look?
Yes, where you are quite close in proximity to where they're from. Plus, dwarves have an awful lot of stories and grudges against the elves.
Okay, so I would have known that it were elves.
Yes.
Okay, scratch that.
Righto.
It will have to do, I suppose, Lord.
Well, yes. But I don't believe that there was any damage to the vessel itself or any of the equipment. Although you...
That's good to hear.
You may want to keep an eye out at the next stop off. we may stay there for a day or so, depending on how things go. I'd like to see if anyone would be willing to buy some stuff before we push on. Plus, I really do need a bath, and these accommodations are not really up to standards for one such as me. You look around, and the room that he's in is probably twice the size of the area that all the rest of the crew have between them. He has a very small four-poster bed.
I eyebrow, but I don't say anything. Used to it by now.
Well, Mr. Blackhand, if there is nothing else, I will get back to my. He grabs a bottle and begins pouring another glass of wine. My calculations, yes, I must see to the profit.
Yes, I will no longer bother you. Have a nice day, Lord. I leave the room.
Sure.
I don't know it in English.
The cabin?
Yeah. Cabin. I leave. So, I got 9 gold with me for the party.
Yes, for you and the other two, for the 2 humans.
So 3 gold each.
Yes.
I go to the 2 humans and signal them to come to me.
They would be below deck at the moment. Magness, a couple of hirelings have begun to row the boat, pulling it along. You wouldn't, at this time of day...
Fucking break.
At this time of day,
If you fucking break it again, I will throw you into the river myself.
Apologies, Master Boatman. It wasn't us. It was the others. I swear it. A snivelling man kind of cowers before you. It is about dinner time when the boat would normally serve. The boat's cook would normally start serving out meals. So you would all be on the main vessel at the moment, below decks. In the, sadly, your sleeping area and the area where they dish out the food for you guys is kind of the same place. You can eat above deck if you wish. But as you all do gather to get your day's rations or your evening meal, you would see the dwarf, Blackhand, come down from above decks and is heading in your direction.
Well, Dwarf, how'd you get on?
It went alright, I suppose. I got some extra coin for the 3 of us.
Hey.
Hey, now there's news I'd like to hear. How
There's
much you get?
one catch, though. I will
Oh,
start with the bad news.
There's always a
We
catch.
are now, in fact, his replacements of the mercs. But we would have to defend this anyway, so I didn't think it would be a loss for you guys.
I mean, it's not like whatever's gonna try and kill us will spare us if we don't fight, so...
Okay,
That's
so
always true.
now to the good news. I got 3 gold each.
Excellent.
Hey, that's good!
I give them 3 gold each from the purse.
Alright!
This is gonna come in handy. I need to save up a lot. Well, did he tell you anything else? Any other jobs we need to do around here, or are we just doing the same old, same old?
The same old. Stop at the next place. Be there for a couple of days, perhaps. He did seem like he wanted to have a proper break. He seemed rather stressed. Maybe the reason why I got it so easily. I thought it would be harder to hack.
Okay.
So,
Well-
how's your day? Nothing that needs my attention.
No, just tending to my books, usual. Scholar's got to cook something. Might as well cook the books.
I not.
Okay, so you all sit down. Well, you all gather your food and go to different areas to enjoy your gruel in a bowl. The food is not great. It really isn't. The chef is either cooking with crap ingredients or he doesn't know how to cook.
Or both.
Possibly both. It's passable though, and it's warm. So for now, it will have to do. Sadly,
Does he
as
have like a mini stove or something? Or
there is a stove on board, there is a cooking area under the deck, underneath where the where the merchant's cabin is. You would see, yeah, you've been on board enough for long enough that you would have seen there is a boat. There is a that was odd. There is a galley there. Is everyone still here?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
everyone's just rather quiet today.
So it's just the my other monitor that's decided to get rid of all images. Okay, fair enough. I'll sort that out. Yes, there is a kitchen. You would have seen that there is a cook who is hired to cook. He seems like he's not the most competent of fellows, but you've never heard the merchant noble complain about his food being bad.
Okay.
But by all means, if you wanted to go over there and investigate, you can.
No, I was just curious. Yeah, I'll just grab my food and put up with it, I suppose. It is gruel after all. Yeah, something.
Okay then. So, some time will pass. You all carry out your duties as you were paid to carry them out. You spend 2 days on the riverboat travelling upstream. In this time, you would notice that Magness and his group have a harder time. Magness, you have to assist over the next day. Out of the 2 days that you'll be travelling, although you are injured, it's not your strength that is needed, it is your knowledge. Going upriver, you would see that there are several rocks that could damage the hull of the riverboat. It just needs your assistance to guide the men and to have people on the trading vessel with long poles in order to push away from the few boulders that are in the river. But the rest of you have a pretty easy time. If any of you are injured, you will regain 1 hit point per day. you'll regain 1 fortune point per time you sleep, and you'll be able to roll 2 more heal tests on anyone who is wounded. You will be given a poultice for each person, but you're told that there are no more after this.
Okay.
So you have 2 more temps for each person who's healed, but then you'll need to buy your own because the ship is out.
So, how long were we resting for?
You get 2 days.
2 days?
Yeah, well, 2 days and 2 nights.
Okay, so 2 HP by itself. Is that right?
Yep.
And I can do
5.
2 heal tests
Yes.
per person.
Yeah.
Okay. Did the poultices give me?
So the poultices don't give you any bonus to it, but if you succeed, they heal 1d10 hit points. I believe the book says if you're heavily injured, they don't do anything. I think screw that. I need to get you healed up before the next encounter. So you'll just get to roll 1d10.
Okay, so Irelia is still hurt, and Magnus thing.
With 2 nights of sleep, I'll have 12 HP, and I just have a scratch. I'm missing 3 HP, so if you wanted to use the heal, I'd say just use on Magness and not on Irelia. Just heal me naturally, because if you succeed, I gain 1 HP for each successful one.
Okay. And now Magnus. Oh.
Hmm?
Hey.
Hey. So how much is that?
1d10. Do we want the healer to roll for the heal points, or do you want to leave that to the player?
Ah, he
No,
can
what-
roll himself.
Yeah, let's let the healer lore. Healer lore.
No, I believe he's delegated it to you. It's a smart man. He knows that if he gets a 1, it's his fight. It's his fault.
Hey, fine. A 5.
Not bad. It's something.
I'm back to 10. I believe I'm no longer heavily wounded. Because it's 10 out of 12.
So you actually have to get fully healed before you're no longer counted as... So technically in the book, again, this is where healing can take a long time. If you're badly wounded, heavily wounded, you heal 1 hit point per week. So I've also sped that up considerably.
Oh, okay.
He should also gain 1 hit point back because of the failed heal. Because there was a poultice. If I remember correctly.
No, I believe it just gets used up. It doesn't actually heal on a failure. You just use up the item.
Okay.
Gave you 1. I think that's what we did last time.
I mean, the merchants basically provided all healing items for you to heal everyone up. It's just he will run out after this.
Okay.
I can't remember what page it is. What page it's on? Is it specialist equipment? I think. Well, that's why I'm in the wrong book. I'll look it up. I believe it is. It's used up, and if you fail, you don't get any points back. So, whilst some of you get your wounds tended to and healed, the rest of you are on lookout. It has been 2 days since the combat And one of the... Well, actually, roll me perception. For everyone, you could all have a +10, because this is essentially you're on lookout. So I would expect you to be, you know, looking up and down the river.
This reminds me of something.
Oh.
Yeah, it seems like this campaign is cursed.
I'm gonna use.
Oh,
I'm gonna use
no.
one of my fortune. I have two, so.
Don't the elves have like another +10? Or hey!
Look at that.
Ew! The Melvin eyes, though. The Melvin eyes.
It's his merchant secret stat.
I'm even seeing smells right now.
You see the merchant noble lord. He slowly removes his trousers. The folds.
No.
So, on the 9th, as you are on guard duty, as you're watching the river, the banks, the tree lines, let's have a look. It would be Liliala. How do you say that name?
Aurelia?
Irelia. Okay. Don't worry, I'll get used to it after a while. Irelia. You look far up the river. Beyond where most normal people would look, you see something begin to come round the river bend. It catches your eye as there's a slight flicker of light reflected off something. You draw attention, and your elven companion also notices it, whereas everyone else looks closer to the shore, to the riverbank, to the small grouping of trees that are littered here and there in the farmlands. You two watch up.
Is it night or day?
It is daytime.
Okay.
You two are looking upstream now, watching something. It disappears and then it resurfaces and disappears and resurfaces. And then you noticed a few more. You quite quickly realise, as you see a couple of flashes, those appear to be bodies floating downstream. As they get closer, you can see the bloated and swollen flesh.
Oh.
These must have been here a while. 'Cause I imagine we can all see them as they near our boat, right?
The elves don't immediately. It takes them a bit of time to watch, and it's a long way in the distance when one of the oarsmen aboard your rowboat, Magness, stands up. We got floaters in the water. Do you want to inform the merchant noble? As you hear something bump against the hull of the ship.
Get a stick and poke it away.
One of the labourers aboard the merchant ship does just that. He pulls out one of the large poles used to steer the boat, push the boat, and so happen to push bodies away. As you look down, you see that there are actually a number of half-floating corpses still beneath the water's surface. Now that you're looking down upon them, you can see that their clothing and possessions weigh them down enough, yet their bloated, putrid flesh keeps them buoyant enough to float. The peasant begins poking at it, and you see the steering paddle go through the corpse easily as he just tries to push it. And by the hammer! They're all gooey. It takes several attempts, but he does poke the corpse and it floats away. Some of you move up closer to the bow of the ship, looking down into the water now from a raised surface. You can see that there are a number of corpses floating towards the boat.
How many you saying, like, rough estimate?
At least 9 that you can count, maybe a few more.
Aurelia wants to look even further than just at the... Does she see any smoke up ahead, or does she see looks like what might be a wreck?
No. There's no smoke. Your natural one, I'll give you that. There's no smoke on the horizon, and all seems calm. It doesn't appear as if the animals are... You would expect that if a battle was around here that you'd see more carrion birds in the air, but it seems calm. You see another flash in the water. Sorry, what was that?
Do we hear any birds? Like we do hear normally, or is it just silence?
No, it's quite normal. You can hear forest animals, and you have seen on occasion small mammals in trees and the rustling of game in the bushes on the shoreline.
Okay.
These corpses have probably been in water for a while now.
Sure looks like it.
Cannot hear or see anything.
It's best we just push them out of the way and keep going. Need to find out where they're coming from, to be perfectly honest.
Well, to be honest, we should probably just keep moving towards this. Not body corpses. We're not paid to go searching for whatever happened to these people.
True.
Whoever they were, they die no more now.
Magness, you see the individual who who's powering your rowboat, or one of them, who stood up and pointed at a floater closer to your rowboat. You see him pointing and tapping to the guy on the rowboat and pointing to something much closer now.
Oh, you! What is it?
It's nothing. It's nothing. It's just more floaters, sir. It's just nothing out there.
I give him this stern looking at, like, I know he's bullshitting
Perception.
me.
Minus 10.
Probably, yeah, he probably spotted something valuable. Minus 10, oof. Yeah, no, I wasn't getting that.
You
All of
believe
us, or
him.
just
You believe him. There's nothing out there. He's just pointing out more floaters. Give me a normal perception as you believe him and start to turn away.
That's better.
You hear as you turn away and begin to take a step. Don't tell him. I saw it. It was twinkling. It was shining.
Oh, I heard that.
Fuck! Hear what, sir? You stubbed your toe, didn't you? I don't think we should
Don't
play
tell
with
him.
that.
It was shiny.
Iraine, you see the flash as well in the water. But it looks valuable. Come on.
It Fucking bring it aboard, you idiot.
He the two oarsmen begin rowing your rowboat and slightly turning the ship ever so slightly because they're trying to get their boat, your boat, within the path of the floater.
Oh, I would like to jump on my boat.
You wouldn't be able to just jump on. So there's a line of rope that attaches your boat to the vessel.
Alright.
And where you're going against the river, when they stop, the merchant's boat gets pulled backwards. So they can get there, but you just lose a lot of distance. After 5 minutes, maybe less, of you can all hear the rowing, the oars slapping into the water, as these are not trained oarsmen. As they kind of frantically put it back into it. Come on, we don't want to let it get away. The boat slowly turns. They get within oars reach of whatever is shining.
Can I make a perception check to see what they're...
Sure.
I'm gonna. I was spinning my arrow before I saw the.
From the boat.
Everyone can roll
but it-
perception if they're looking at the thing that flashes. A peasant has pointed it out, so you all noticed a flashing object. Well, it flashes when the light shines on it, when it catches the light. If you're an elf, you can have a +10 for seeing it. You also get a +10 because it's been pointed out to you and you know which direction. So overall, for elves, you should have a +20. For non-elves, you should have a +10.
Oh, that's a success then.
So Magness was a success. We have a success, and a failure. And a failure. For some of you, the glare that comes off the
I don't see shit.
the glare that comes off the water's reflection is just too much, and you become slightly dazzled as you can't see what everyone else is picking up. But for the rest of you, you do see a corpse that is half sunken, yet just breaking the surface ever so slightly. And when it does, you pick up that there is indeed the flash of gold. A trinket, perhaps, something. It appears to be around her neck. Or its neck.
Aurelia is going to. She was spinning an arrow before she saw the corpses, but as soon as she saw the corpses, she's gonna knock an arrow and just gonna slightly her arrow, and she's not gonna watch for the gold per se, but she's gonna be looking out for, this seems like a trap to her. Is what I'm basically trying to say. She's
Okay.
gonna be looking out for something that is gonna jump.
So you're on guard, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're holding an action. Are you looking at the water, though? Are you focusing, or are you looking more to the tree lines and around you?
More generally, I don't know if this is a ploy for people to basically try to grab gold, and something else is gonna jump out of the water. Someone is gonna attack from the tree line, so she's just scanning
Actually, would
in
I,
front of the ship.
Okay.
would I know if things like that happen often? Like, seeing as they essentially live on the river.
Sure, you can roll your common law, because it's to do with your job, with your career. You can have a
And I assume.
+10.
I assume. And does the +10 for being seasoned traveler apply?
Yes, that would also apply. So +20.
Ooh.
You know, in this part of the world, they use many riverways, and the term floaters is a common slang word for corpses dumped in the river. It's common to come across a floater in the river. It's uncommon to come across the numbers that you've come across. It's very rare to go over that. So, an uncommon event.
There's a mighty lot of them. You think a farm got raided? I mean, we run the goblins who say there's not more roaming bands.
Does anyone try to stop or help the people who are currently within oar's length of this corpse? Or are you going to leave it to their own devices? Because they're getting close.
How would we help them? That's the thing. How would we help them?
Fair enough.
Raleigh will call out to them and say, do be careful, because if you poke a hole on that corpse, it's probably gonna blow up and it's probably gonna be nasty. So be careful, would you? And as she says that, she's watching to see if something is gonna try to jump them.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I want to keep
you're
watchful as well.
And if you break my boat, you'll swim downstream with them.
Fair enough. So, with no better advice and no better idea, they paddle with all their might towards the corpse. And, not wanting to lose his treasure, he reaches into the water with both hands. The other oarsman holds onto his trousers. The boat slowly begins to drift backwards, ever so slightly, against the river. But the man cries with joy as he heaves and pulls this corpse, rotting, putrid and stinking, out of the water into your boat, Magness. There is a, we got it! We got it! It's ours! Oh, by the hammer! Oh my god! Oh, you see the two men just cower. As, can everyone roll me willpower?
Put it in the
With a minus 10.
Oh, you
Oh,
absolute
boy.
bastard.
Is there even a point in the rolling?
There's always a point in rolling. Ugh.
It's an 11.
Oh
Look,
god, I miss
look,
Luciara in moments like these.
You fail 100% of the rolls you don't make.
Yeah.
Minus 10?
Minus 10, please. As the...
Hey!
Nice.
But
So,
for fuck's sake.
as you are all stood on the bow of the ship, looking for anything that might strike, anything that might come out of the water from the tree lines, you hear the cry of excitement. You all look and watch as this peasant lifts and pulls with all of his might. The corpse comes out of the water and into the boat. As the skin begins to slough off, dribbling goo and pus all over the man, you look in almost horror and disgust, and then the smell hits you. Casper, for whatever reason it is, you get a whiff of this and your mind goes to a happy place. You try and lock off your sense of smell, whereas the rest of your comrades and all the individuals on the fail. Oh, one succeeds. As we'll call him the one in the boat. As you see hirelings and your new comrades retching, heaving, they whiff this smell of rotted, putrid flesh, of bowels being opened after months of decay. At least it smells that bad. But fuck me, your eyes water, but you smile as you can see several of the hirelings begin to vomit over the I can't remember what it's called. Over the sides of the ship.
I'll yell to Magnus. You'll need a couple of buckets to clean all that out.
You just hear this as the other oarsman on the boat. It's not that bad. He reaches over and pulls something from the corpse. The flash of gold you see in his hand now, along with a few other items. Once you all get your senses back in order, let me just have a quick roll for them. Okay. The corpse is flung back overboard. in more of pieces this time than actual one big blob. One of the oarsmen, the one who seemed unaffected by the smell, seems okay. The other one, however, after vomiting a few times, seems rather green. What would you all like to do? None of you have thrown up. I'll give you that much. No one critically failed.
At this point,
I analyzed the golden crown, see how much is.
So, at the moment, this is the aftermath of what do you want to do with the two in the boat. They're still in the rowboat, out ahead of you. You can bring them in, and then the items can get passed off, and you can work out a price. You can start working out prices. Or you can leave them in the boat, covered in corpse goo.
I suggest we bring them close and then dump some water on.
Yeah, let's.
No goo on the big beautiful boat.
Ren is gonna see if there's any. Is there any charcoal on the boat, or in general on the boat? Is there any charcoal around?
There
that you
would
could
be from the kitchen stove. You'd be able to get some charcoal from there.
Yeah, she's gonna go down to the kitchen. She's gonna grab a little bit of charcoal, and she's gonna make basically a makeshift mask. And she's gonna put some oils from her antitoxin pouch, or basically just an herb to give it some smell, and the charcoal. And she's basically making a makeshift gas mask.
Sure.
And she's gonna come back, and she's just so you know she doesn't retch again.
By all means, you can do that.
So yeah, I'm gonna go out of my way to stop Guardian and just like cut out the smell. And after that, I will mention for them to be careful to, not bring gunk into the ship.
Okay. So the option I've heard for them is we're going to chuck some water on them. Fair enough.
Better bring them close and chuck some water on them.
Close enough, and we will chuck water on them till they're clean.
So you are in a freshwater river. These rivers are leading into the oceans of the old world. So they can use river water to just chuck, to rinse out. It's not... Yeah, I suppose they could... So you shorten the rope in which connects the two boats. You aid them in dunking some water on them, and they try and scrub off as much of the corpse goo as they can. They grumble, and the one who was throwing up is still very green, and he doesn't look well at all. The other one is, again, seemingly alright. He seems fairly chipper. He's got a gold trinket in his hand.
And do be careful not to bring any diseases. You might have got corpse over to the boat with you.
He looks at you as if, and how the fuck do you want me to do that? I'm a peasant. I don't even know what a disease is.
She's just gonna
You
look
what?
into a bucket, and Aurella's gonna grab a bucket, and she's gonna try to inside the boat, and she's gonna say, before they get into the boat, soak them in as much water as you can possibly. just soak them. Do not let them come into this boat unless they're soaking wet and clean. Oh, and you two on the rowboat, you probably should get rid of your clothes.
But we don't have any other clothes. they get washed off. They are now very cold and wet. One of them still looks really, really ill. You bring you're basically close enough that they can pass off the items in a bucket. However, they hold on to the items first, and we want to share as well. You know, we took all the risk. His friend is there. Still. Most of it's just retching but were you lying when you said that, or were you telling the truth?
Debatable.
Because if you were lying,
see,
you will need to
see what the hole is first.
need to do a deceive check.
It's charm.
Is it charm?
There is no deceive.
So
Is it charm?
yeah, so then a charm test.
There isn't.
He's only a peasant,
Unfortunately, no deceive.
so he's not. You're not doing this to the merchant,
Yeah.
and it is
Any
it
modifiers?
is opposed. No.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, with essentially 1 degree of failure. He believes you. He puts the items. It's opposed. If he rolls and does worse than you, he still believes you.
Oh, fair enough.
So he puts the items in the bucket and puts a piece of rag over the top and holds it up so you guys can bring the bucket in on a tight rope. You're above him anyway, so the bucket just grazes against the water as it swings down, and you pull it up. Inside the bucket, firstly, there is a master-crafted dagger. You can tell this by just the look of it. You don't even draw the blade out. You take the cloth off and it's there. This ornate, beautiful-looking dagger. It looks very feminine, as if it was for a woman. And there is a gold locket in there. I might change the name in a minute because I'm finding the item actually in there. But as far as I'm aware, it's a gold locket.
Would I know how to open the locket from my smithing background?
Yeah, it's a very basic folded metal clasp. So there's just a little bit of folded metal that locks it in place. Can you give me a? Well, no, I'll give it to you as you turn the locket around in your hand. You can see that it is made of gold. There is what looks to be either an ivory or a tortoiseshell type material. What's the word? It's not embossed.
Inlaid?
Inlaid, that's the one, thank you. Inlaid into the front on this this ivory shell type material appears to be a symbol of a hound. A wolfhound.
Could I roll Common Law Empire to see if it's a known crest or anything like
Sure. Where do you hail from? Which region?
that? Oh crap, which one was it?
Sorry, it's a locket.
Oh, I can't seem to find it.
You can pick one if you want and make it your new one.
Just give me 2 seconds, I'll be able to find it now. Right? There we go. I was from Midland.
Okay. You roll it. There's no bonuses from me. If you have a talent like the Seasoned Traveller, yep, you can put that on there as a bonus.
Okay. Doesn't it already go on to it?
Depends on what I'm asking for. For this, it applies, but for something else, it might not. It might be a bit more specialised.
So that is come on. The heck is it? There. Hey.
You've heard of this symbol. It's from a very old house. Not from a region that you've visited. Maybe one that you heard about. The symbol belongs to a family that live in Stirling, the province of Stirling. As far as you can remember, were they based out of Siegfriedhof? That's right. Yeah, that family's symbol's definitely from Siegfriedhof.
HOF?
For
Siegfried.
Siegfriedhof. I'll put it in chat.
SIEG
Okay,
FRIED.
so Siegfriedhof.
There we go. So it's a family crest
You
from someone
believe
in Siegfriedhof.
this is a well-known family. There are a few stories about members within their house. You believe it's the Caligo house.
Knew it.
You're sure of it?
Yeah. How, out of character, how on earth does someone from Friedhof appear down here? It's beyond me, but I
She's
saw this
traveler.
coming.
I mean, I'm from Midland, and I'm all the way over here.
I mean, I know you guys don't have the map. Siegfriedhof is far from
It's
this
not
position.
actually that far when you use. Remember, they use the rivers a lot. All the
Yeah.
rivers connect, and it's not actually that far from your current location. Especially when you consider
I'm much farther away.
the towns, the main cities that are connected.
I mean, yeah, I admit, we
And nobles are one of the few people who
Okay.
can travel semi-safely. So who has appraise? Is it appraise? I may have just said the wrong skill there.
Is it evaluate?
Evaluate, that's the one. Who has evaluate?
I got evaluate.
Can you roll it for me, please?
Flat.
Yes.
Okay. For crying out loud.
Do you want to?
it's
Do you want to
fake.
keep
Throw it
that?
back on the river.
Do you want to keep that?
It's not a critical fail, right?
No, it's not a critical fail.
Then
Can
I
I
will
give it a
keep
go?
it.
For the heck of it.
Sure, you can give it a go.
I mean, I can keep it in knockdown.
Blackhand, you're pretty sure that this is just this is gold plate. It's not, although it looks fancy. It's just quite cheap. Probably not worth that much.
Just for the record, what is it that I'm holding exactly? Because I'm kinda lost.
A gold
neck.
locket with a inlaid sigil of a house, of a noble house.
I will probably keep it or put it in the group's inventory. We'll put it in the group's inventory.
Sure. You can put down.
If the group is fine with it.
you can put it down as a gold locket. Write down Caligo's gold locket, because then it gives you the information that goes with it.
Do I find any names? Or is that...
For what?
Did we ever found that name?
Yeah, Caligo.
Did we ever found that inscription? Just Caligo?
There's
personal names?
there's no inscription. It's just the sigil of the house.
I told you it was
if
Caligo.
if you open it up, there's nothing. There's nothing. Well, there'd be a ruined piece of paper in there. The ink is beyond repair. But there's no like best wishes or anything like that. No.
Okay. I'm gonna turn to the dwarf and say, maybe we could use this to get a bit of extra coin from the merchant. You never know, the family might be pretty grateful to get this back. Should have been missing for quite a while.
Well, if you can identify where this family is from.
It's from Stirland. Siegfriedhoft.
Red is gonna nod her head like, okay. I have no clue where Siegfriedhof is, but okay, sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give it. I do believe you can like something like this.
Out of character
Pretty
question.
Sure.
Do I need to keep track of encumbrance for the boat?
No.
Okay.
Alright. I'm sure whoever the family.
Say again, sorry?
Let's just give it the locket back. And probably find a family along the way.
Well, we've got quite a ways to go, so. Well, someone's following the river.
Follow the river we shall then, I guess.
Do you mention the item to the merchant noble, and what do you tell the two in the boat? Later on, we'll pass a few hours for the guys in the boat, but before then, would you ask the merchant, or would you keep this to yourselves?
Keep it to ourselves, I suppose, unless the group has another opinion.
Rather, we just go back to her post in the forecastle. We'll go back to pinning her harrow, but she looks a little bit more concerned because we still don't know where these corpses came from, so.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to tell your employer; he won't mind. So a couple of hours pass. You stay on guard, all of you.
He can't mind what he can see.
Quite true.
Simple.
You don't see anything out of order until around sunset. Maybe half an hour before darkness falls. You do see on the riverbank blood and a few dead horses. As the boat gets up closer to them, you see the flies and maggots that have begun eating them. Parts of the animals themselves have been torn apart, possibly by wolves or some other creature.
You sure?
If you want to investigate the horses, it'd be a perception. There's a -10 because you're going past them on the boat. The boat isn't stopping.
I really will give it a.
Why not?
The dice fuck you.
So
Yes,
for the elves, it's just a 0? Because we get better perception anyway?
Yes.
If it's like...
Yes, I'll go with that one.
Oh. Wow.
Okay. So, Casper and Lavia, you two notice something about the animals. Casper, you notice that one of the animals appears to be missing a face. And this is not an animal attack. This clearly looks as if something went off in its face, and its face is just caved in on itself. Whereas Lavia, you notice that one of the other horses, its eyes are extremely red, even though they've gone dead and have that long stare and have begun to go milky. You can see that they were red, sore, before the animal passed. And as you look at how the animal has died, it's clearly reared up. And then you can't see the animal's chest, but by the way that it's collapsed back, something struck it from the front as it reared up and fell backwards and died.
So something from the direction of the river?
The animals themselves appear to be heading southwards. More of the animals are facing southwards in the direction that you've come from. The animal that looked as if it had red eyes had fallen over the top of itself, so his head is pointing in the direction that you are going.
So wait, are we moving north or south? Because I'm confused.
The boat's
now.
moving north. The group that was attacked was moving south.
Okay.
Right. There's no real way to try and discern what
Does
would
it
have
look
caused
like
the wounds from this distance.
caravan or just random horses?
The horses themselves look as if they're decent breeds. These would be classed as light war horses. Yes, because you have riding horses, and then the next one up is light war horses. So these were bred animals. These were not cheap. Their frames are muscular but lean and fast at the same time. As for what killed them, definitely not bows and arrows from a goblin attack. You don't see the massive rends and hacking slashes that you would see from beasts or animals on what you would presume would be the killing blows. An animal doesn't destroy a creature's face. Sadly, none of you have really, as far as I'm aware from your backstories, none of you have experienced this. So, for out of character, one of the horses had a blunderbuss go off in its face.
Oh.
None of you have seen these weapons before, so it'd be a mystery to you.
See, I think I know what happened here. I don't know. That wouldn't make sense. No, it couldn't have been ogres because the ogres would have just eat them.
And don't ogres have cannons for blunderbusses?
Yes.
Yeah,
There would be no horse left, just hooves.
exactly. I mean, they probably eat the hooves too.
I throw my bow.
But if nothing else, it is a curiosity. Something that you've noticed.
Do we notice a trail?
No. There's no... from the riverboat as well, you're moving along at an odd angle to really get in close to look for trails where they went. You've got a rough idea of where whoever these people were going and where the attackers came from. But apart from that... Well, and that they were well-bred horses. These were not cheap animals. And it just so happens that there's 9 of them.
Will we stop or will we quickly move on?
The boat won't stop. Unless you want to talk to the
How
merchant.
How many corpses were in the water earlier?
About 9.
About the same amount.
Wait, so 9 corpses were in the water, and 9 horses are here. So they weren't traveling with peasants, as you'd expect from a noble. Usually.
There were about 9 bodies, and there are 9 horses.
No one asked about the
So
bodies.
This is probably the horses, those corpses were owners of. So
More than likely.
They're big animals as well.
Well, I guess there's no real point in stopping. Or dead things, let the dead die. So, we should probably station people out to keep an eye out. In case this weird things that explode and horses' face is still out there.
Sure.
they probably are.
So you all have another meal. The food's a little bit better today. A little bit. No one really said they would do anything about the oarsmen, so they swap over shifts.
I mean,
One of them's stopped
I
throwing
make
up.
sure they clean my boat.
It has been cleaned. The other 2 who get in for the for the shift change grumble that it stinks and that it's unpleasant and not nice. But there's only so much you can do, as your main job all day is for both of you to row. And when you stop rowing, the boat goes backwards. And they haven't stopped rowing. You would notice that they appear to be rowing throughout the night.
Yeah.
You all have a meal. Anyone want to do anything about the 2 people who were in the boat as they come down deck? Starts to smell a bit. One of them still looks rather green.
They've been washed now, haven't they?
Kind of. You know, Dark Age kind of wash.
Well, I would tell them that stuff their clothes into a pot and fill it with water, boil it in the stove. When everything's finished, don't do it now, otherwise the cook will probably strangle you. And that should probably help clean out the clothes a bit.
I'm pretty sure we should just burn their clothes and let them be naked for a little bit.
I'd rather not look at a bunch of
because
naked
if they
Chipolatas.
if
It's cold.
they steam their clothes, you know.
Could
steam their
Lydia
clothes,
have a look at the both of them?
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't exactly want to see the oars flying in the wind.
You can do a medical
Sure.
test. I'll give you a +10 because you're just looking at them and checking to see what is up with them. You can do
So-
1 for each of them.
Medical test or heal test?
Sorry,
or
heal
what?
test. Not. There's no medical. It would be heal. So the first guy you look at, I'll be nice, and the first one you look at is the green one. You look over him, and he is not a well person. You can see beads of sweat beginning to form around his cheeks and along his neck, and would you touch him to get his temperature? Or is this a fully, like I said, a visual inspection?
No, she wouldn't touch him.
Okay, you see beads of sweat around his neck and his forehead. His eyes are going bloodshot. His lips are slightly chapped and cracking. The other guy you look at and he seems fine. You don't really see the beads of sweat so much, although there are a couple beads around his neck, like as you look underneath his clove line. You can see beads of sweat under. You're not sure if that's an early stage sickness or just because he's been doing hard work for a long time. His eyes aren't bloodshot and his lips are slightly chapped, but none of the cracking.
Did we take their clothes off already?
No, they are currently fully dressed and they are quite upset at the idea of removing their only set of clothes and trying to talk the cook into letting them borrow his cooking pot.
I want to ask the green guy to
not
take his
bad.
off
But
and raise it.
what are all these women about? Are you crazy? I can't get... No. Like you can see, he starts to, as he panics a bit, he retches a little, but nothing comes up. I've got to keep my modesty.
Please, a corpse. You just corpse, floating corpse.
I mean, they are wet.
Disgusting.
You know, you guys did chuck water on them, so they are wet and cold and. Yeah, well, hang on.
Well,
Well, I promise him he'll get a blanket after.
I have a spare cloak. I don't really need to wear it, so I offer that to them for now.
He will accept. He rolled a 35, which for his willpower should be about right if I give him a +10. He will accept the getting treatment. He accepts your the cloak that you offer almost greedily, as he kind of gets it to wrap around himself as he takes parts of his clothes off and allows himself to be checked over. He's sweating all over.
Are there pustules under his arms?
No, nothing like that. Not at the moment, at least. But he is visibly sweating all over his body. Yet he's not shivering a massive amount at the moment, whereas his friend, who doesn't look as sick, is shivering.
I ready my bow, hiddenly.
You just place your bow on your lap and then slowly pull an arrow out and just...
He's probably shivering because he's still soaked, unlike the other guy who's now got a blanket or a cloak.
Yeah, we should probably not let them sleep in the same room as the other people.
That's the only room.
Yeah, that's the issue.
The rest of so there's a small corridor that leads essentially into the hold of the ship where all the cargo is. There's a very small corridor that lets you walk from back to forth. Black Hand probably has to go sideways depending on how, I imagine dwarfs is a little bit more wide. If he follows that idea, then he may have to go sideways slightly, to get through. It's also
Don't really sleep in there.
it's also a lot colder
Probably.
because there's not as many people in that, in your little room. There's so many of you that you generate heat to keep yourselves warm. When you go out for a piss and walk through there, it's a lot colder. We're just coming out of winter, early spring.
Whereabouts is the stove?
Underneath the nobles, so at the back of the ship, whereas you're at the front.
Right. There's no way we could have the stove on low, like just a small hole on low as if it's a normal, it's a modern oven or something like that. But just a couple of embers or something to keep it warmish. Let him sleep near it.
The cook
Although we probably
sleeps.
need to
The
talk to
cook
him.
sleeps in the galley in the kitchen. So, because if there's a fire on board the boat, he's responsible for it. You could try and talk him into it. Would he want two smelly naked men in his kitchen? You could try.
Kind of don't want to leave them in the corridor,
You could.
because then they're in the way and it's also cold.
You could.
But you also don't want to leave them on the deck, because it's cold and everything else.
We
We
also don't want them infecting anyone else.
Yeah. Or the food stuff, so we can't really put them in with all the
Yeah.
gear. How about we charm the noble?
I don't think the noble's gonna leave cozy
No.
room to
He's
allow
not
it
gonna leave. We're moving in there.
That's even worse. I don't think that James is gonna be doing. I don't think that the merchant's gonna be doing that. And Riley is for sure. Like I said, she's sleeping in the crow's nest.
Crow's nest. I'm sorry. What? This isn't a river bridge. This is a trading vessel. It's like a riverboat. It's like a
Yeah, but does it have a mast?
no.
It has a mast.
No.
Okay, I'm sleeping outside.
It's
still.
powered by the people rowing the rowboat. If it's in, so later on when you're into a more managed river area, it could be pulled by a horse along the side of the river. Yeah, this is not anything with a forecast or.
Think of it like the riverboat is, the rowboat is like a wee car pulling a caravan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a small tent on the stern of the.
You could
gonna
do
sleep
that.
out.
That is possible if you went to the front of the ship. You've got the bow, which is a solid wooden piece that does essentially. If you're shot at on the boat, your legs are protected, so you could just put a cloak over there, and that would give you, some shelter.
Yeah, that's what I say. I'm going to the back of the ship, so I'm going to the stern, and I'm just gonna make a makeshift tent, and I'm gonna sleep outside. I'm not sleeping near diseased naked man.
Sure.
Yeah, Lydia would join you there. If that's okay.
So Magness and I can't remember the Blackhand. What do you think?
I'm thinking. So we're now at who are we looking exactly?
The two people who are in the
We either-
boat, you can sleep with some sick people. You can force the sick people to sleep in the cold, or you can sleep with the elves in a makeshift tent. Or you can seduce a noble. You have options.
We can try and seduce the merchant.
I'm not very
Yeah.
good at that. I feel like I'm gonna crash with the elves, or either that or kick the sick out. It's a rough life out here.
There's enough of you. You wouldn't need to rock, because there are other people with you. There are other labourers and a few mercenaries still left. So it's not going to be hard to convince them to oink them out.
But since there is quarantine, that the
Maybe put them close to the cooking cabin.
The cook's not going to be
that would-
happy with that. Sick people next
Yeah,
to the food.
and we don't really want them near food. Yeah.
No, but she got the heating place. The room besides
No.
it, or the corridor besides the heating place.
So
The heat must go
the
somewhere.
heat goes straight up to the merchant's cabin. The guy who's hiring you.
Yeah, not a good idea.
I mean, you can always just throw the two sick dudes overboard and leave it at that.
I mean,
Give
If
them
there
a,
were pustules under the arms, that's what I would have suggested.
Yeah.
give them an extra blanket and let them sleep in the corridor beside.
You could tell them to go spoon the elves. They got a wee campsite upstairs and share body heat.
Not gonna happen.
Okay, it sounds like the consensus is to stick him in the corridor, essentially, where the cargo is kept.
Why are you setting traps?
So this is beautiful. So you decide
Okay, that's it.
you decide to ask everyone, and everyone agrees that the sick are just going to have to stay outside. You cannot risk the rest of the crew getting sick and then not being able to perform their duties. Everyone agrees to this. Everyone who's healthy. The other two protest massively. One of them saying that he feels perfectly fine. But the consensus is out. They're given extra blankets and told to sleep outside with the cargo.
Oh, well.
The night draws on. Those who are on lookout do not see any lights in the dark. The oarsmen continue to row with their lantern shining a beam of light down the river, so they can see if there are any rocks or anything blocking their path. The night goes quietly. Nothing happens. The shifts change and people come and go. Those on the top deck who camped out are awoken early in the morning as one of the mercenaries, who you probably wouldn't hear him, but he yawns. Warhammer. Oh, that was a good. What the f? As he trips over some ropes that were set up to trap the area, smashing his head into the ground.
Trust me, this is a gin trap. So if he goes anywhere near where he really is, this shit is gonna hurt.
I imagine that, given it's a boat and you only doing lethal is a warning, would be better to wake you up. So further down, like 3/4 of the way down from your little camp spot, you've put tripwires all the way along.
I do have multiple traps, so yes, that could work.
He face plants the floor, and you hear an almighty crack as he lands, and possibly his nose breaks. There's a lot of swearing, and you two are awoken. Quick to react and to assess the situation. You see a very pissed off mercenary looking at you with blood running down from his nose. Like, what the fuck was that?
That, my good sir, was a trap, which you obviously fell into. So
But
you know.
by Sigma, why? Oh, my face.
How the hell am I to know that those sick dudes down there aren't going to come and spread their disease all over?
Oh,
You're lucky you haven't.
two in the.
You're lucky you didn't set the gym trap.
The two in the corridor. Right, okay, fair enough. You see him like grab his nose and he pulls it out and twists, and he's just up. His eyes water, and you're probably close enough to hear of just grinding.
You probably should go see a doctor about that, Mayfly.
He points. I'll see one when we dock. Oh. If you look over the side, you'll see that you are very close to the small town. Is a bit of a stretch. It's got a small dock and it has a small wooden fortificated wall round the outside for some protection. But there's only about 7 or 8 buildings that you can see.
Okay.
Cozy little town, finally. Let's go. Yes, this is a tiny mayfly town. We need to get more supplies. Riley is going to stretch, grab her bow, take disable her traps, put them back in her pouch. Look at the guy with the bleeding nose, and she's gonna like, sorry about that, and she's gonna move to the.
You could have fucking warned us.
It wouldn't be a trap, would it? She will say as she's going to the bow.
Oh, it's early in the morning. I'll give it to you. He's just like, fucking elves. Oh, don't tell people shit. Oh. Hobbles off.
He's really lucky he didn't get. Gin trap hurts.
You smashed his face in. That hurts as well.
Gin traps ignores armor.
True.
Detail.
Although he went face first, so that probably ignored his armor as well. I'm going to say there's enough commotion going on upstairs that those of you downstairs in the hold, you could wake up at that commotion if you wish to, or you can wake up in a couple of hours as it's sunrise.
I mean, Magness would probably wake up to a commotion because something's happening and he doesn't know what. And we've been seeing a lot of dead things.
Yeah, I wake up and I draw my axe.
I wake up and go check on the sick boys.
Sure.
Yeah, Livia too.
Sure. As you go out into the corridor, it's cold. It's very cold. You can see your breath as you breathe out. In the cabin where you all sleep, not so much. Out here it does billow. You look down and you see one of the individuals. He's curled up in a fetal position. And he has a couple of blankets wrapped around him. And you can see he's twitching. Shivering slightly, but he seems to be asleep. The other individual, however, you see that he has at one point in the night removed his blankets, possibly from thinking that he was burning up from sweat billowing out of his body. You look down upon his blue body, and he does not move, shake or breathe. Where the other individual, plumes of breath can be seen, you look at the sickest one's dark blue lips and realise that he passed in the night.
Alright. I should move the living one into the quarters. Just get him somewhere warmer.
He actually rolls round and, oh, what the, it's so cold. Oh, morning.
I'm gonna try and usher him quickly before he sees his friend.
Sure, he kind of groggily gets up and like shuffles in. Oh, by Sigmar, it's so warm in here. And curls up in a corner, perhaps where one of you was sleeping, where there's extra warmth, and just goes back into the fetal position and nods off again.
Who came with me? Was it Livia?
Yes.
Alright. Well, Casper will turn to you and go, what the fuck are we gonna do? He's with more now, but...
We should probably burn the body.
Yeah, I support burning it.
You want to set a fire on a ship?
No, but we're in a town, so...
True, but...
Bring him to the coast.
Yeah, we have to bring him to the coast. I don't think a town would let us bring a very blue body in the town.
Preferably before we enter the
I'll
port,
give it to you.
Notify the merchant.
I'll give it to all of you as
Yeah.
as non-rollable information. Every town will accept corpses. If they're of human origins, every town will accept corpses. Every settlement should accept corpses so that they can be laid to rest properly, thus stopping necromancers from raising them from the dead. Yeah, the old world's very particular in make sure you dispose of bodies properly so necromancers don't get armies.
Yeah.
Do they
that's-
know about plague victims though?
You all know about plague. About certain plagues, you'd need to roll to know specific plagues, but you all know that they exist.
No, just generally that they should burn them.
Yes, you know that some humans will refuse and they will bury plague corpses just because it's their custom. It doesn't work well for them. But yes, you would know that genuinely the Black Death or such things that you've heard of in your that you've read in books, you would burn the corpses. Yeah.
Well, we don't know if it is a plague. We know it was a disease, not necessarily the Black Death or anything.
It was still contagious, apparently, because he handled a corpse and got it from that. So
Yeah.
they'd probably still burn him.
Do you think we could like poke him out with a stick?
Probably
Kind
not.
of, if it is that contagious.
You could wrap him in more towels and take him out, but until you empty the cargo within here, like once the cargo is removed, the top deck is taken off with cranes, small wooden cranes, and then the cargo can easily be put in and out.
Ships have hooked poles or something, don't they?
Yes.
To get at a port.
I suppose you could
How many
drag.
of
I
them?
suppose you could drag him out. It would be going up the stairs that would be difficult. You
Yeah.
could do it. Don't get me wrong. It would just take time and effort.
What do you think? Should we try it? Hook on the
Yeah,
reach
I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the merchant already know?
No, he's asleep. This is early. This is sunrise, so 6 in the morning.
Did he brief us on what to do with that?
No, no. The last lot you saw, like he hasn't brought the corpses from the fallen mercenaries. They got buried close to shore. And you'd all know that that wasn't the proper thing to do, because there's no priest of Moor. Like there's no priests in your party to put them to rest and to put wards to at least prevent them from being easily noticed or risen without direct contact. They were just put to rest in a excluded place. But you can all manhandle him up, if that's what you wish to do.
I guess so. I mean, I think I will let the humans decide on this.
Yeah,
We should probably wait for the merchant or wake the merchant, tell him about it.
if you'd like to.
I think moving around this
I want to
hallway.
it.
Are you sure the merchant is actually going to kill?
I don't think he will. I think he'll just tell us to throw it overboard or something.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is just to grab a piece of cloth, wrap him around.
Well, he's the
And-
employer of the guy, so he should probably know.
Yeah, but he's gonna wake up eventually, and he will anyway. So, do you really want to wake him up early? It's like he's not gonna care, and he's a merchant. You're waking me up to tell me a peasant just died. Sure, less. I won't have to spend money on him, but why did you wake me
Yeah.
up?
I think if we get him to
Okay,
the top
fine.
deck, cover him with a blanket, and wait till we get to shore.
Yeah, just fetch a rug. Yeah, everything should be fine.
Okay.
Alright, so do we roll anything for that, or
No, it's quite alright. You take this poor individual that you left outside to die in the cold because he got botulism or some shit from getting corpse juice in his mouth. You then like grab these hooks that are used for like pulling yourself ashore and getting flotsam and jetsam out of the water, and you hook into him, dragging him along. Up the stairs he goes with a bit of effort and a bit of, to be to you action. You gracefully dump his corpse onto the top deck. Just, there we go. We know what to do with him now. Sure. You can do it in a nicer way than that, by all means.
He's dead. He doesn't care if we do it nice or not.
at least give him a blanket? We didn't give him a blanket the last time. Well, we did, but
Well,
he took
we
it off.
did give him blankets.
Give him another one. Why not?
But if he
We
didn't
just have
want
to burn
die
that
of
one.
the plague, he shouldn't get sick. Simple.
Getting your loot. How disgraceful. So sure, you get him on to the deck, wrapped up. You can all now see that you are approaching the small, we'll call it a town for now. Barely a dozen wooden buildings, maybe one stone building. There is a pier and a dock, and you can just about make out the wooden cranes that sit just on shore to bring cargo on and off. There are some watchmen who have noticed the boat and who have raised particular flags, and you notice that the actual boatsman, is he called a boatsman? Yes, the actual boatsman for the ship, who takes care of it, he's raised flags up. You're not entirely sure what they mean, but you notice every time he comes into a town where they want to trade, buy and sell, that these flags are raised, and whenever they're just selling, a different set of flags are raised and buying another set.
Okay.
Did someone notify him of the corpse?
Not yet. He's still
No.
asleep. Dawn.
Oh, it's his deckhand who are doing.
None of the
I'm
crew.
sure the deckhands probably noticed.
None of the crew have stopped and asked what's going on. You would imagine that it's a medium-sized vessel for a river, but it's still small. So the word that someone was sick, throwing up, and not looking green, probably got around quite quick. But yeah, they don't bother you. They see you moving the corpse and placing it on deck. A couple of hours goes past unless any of you want to do anything.
Really, will feel bad, just a little bit, about the guy that broke his nose. So she'll give him a silver to go check his nose when we reach town. But other than that, she's just gonna keep me to watch.
Whoop him on the nose.
Sure.
Do it.
He takes it greedily. He doesn't. He gives you like a nod, but there's not a proper thank you for it.
I really doesn't expect a thank you. She's just. The Mayfly did break his nose for his own lack of eyesight, but let me just give this to him. Just in
A
case.
few hours pass. Sunrise has come, and the warmth of a crisp blue sky and shining sun chases away the cold of the night and of the early morning. It seems like it will be a
At least he's warm.
beautiful day, but then from behind you, you hear the cabin doors wing open as the merchant noble comes strolling out in his finest clothes. Oh, the warmth is so nice. He takes his fan out and begins to fan himself. And we are coming to port. Finally, profit will be made. This is a good day. As he comes down onto the deck with each word, he notices you all and the pile on the floor. What is that?
A plague victim.
Oh! Get it off! Get it off the ship! Do not! He raises up a handkerchief to his face and what are you? Why would you bring that to me? Ben, get it off the ship!
Out of character, that was hella worth it.
Why are you so close?
So, we go to shore for a minute or 5?
But first I want that bloody corpse off my... Get...
I'll try and calm him down, saying, no, it's not a plague, it's not plague, it's just he died from sickness in his sleep.
But are you sure it wasn't plague? It could be plague.
Worry not.
Plague has been here, you know.
Worry not, Mayfly. If he was sick, you'd be dead by now.
I'm sure you would be sick if you had corpse juice too.
He did what? Why? Oh, you peasants do the strangest things. Are you sure it wasn't plague? Can you be 100% sure?
Yes, we're very sure.
We are fairly sure.
Riley will come spinning the arrow on her. He was playing with a dead corpse from the river. He got sick because of that and died. It's nothing to be concerned.
This is the outcome of greed. You got greedy.
He looks around and notices the guards. And we can't chuck him overboard now. They'll see and I'll get fined. Well, I suppose when we dock, take him ashore, inform a priest of some sorts and get him dealt with, I suppose. Yeah. I need to go and check the cargo. I must make sure it is secure and presentable to be sold to the public.
Riley will whisper to Livia, I really hope that guy didn't spill his juice.
Yeah. Let's hope that. I mean, Livia might have looked like she wanted to say something when, the noble said, "Are we 100% sure?" But she just got herself.
Can I just say that reaction of the noble just made my whole fucking day?
I'm glad. I thought that's how he would react. So, the ship...
Like, if he was more athletic, he would probably climb the mast or something. That we have a mast in a river bar.
If he was a little rounder and jumped a little higher, he might have rolled down into the below decks to check on his...
Damn, see, then Magness just would have to roll to not die of heart attack from laughter.
Shortly after the noble goes down and begins to check on his cargo, the boat comes into dock. Another hour goes by of manoeuvring and positioning, and you see the deckhands all chucking ropes and using those hooked claws to pull shorelines aboard. And the ship is moved into position. Is at this point that you are all free to leave the vessel. You see the merchant noble come on deck just before docking, and he proclaims to everyone, "You all have leave to go ashore once your duties are done. We will leave in 2 days. Your accommodation is paid for at the Waltzing Cat. Thank you." As soon as the ship is docked and the gangplank is set, the merchant crosses and meets another a much slimmer but still finely dressed individual ashore and begins talking, and they walk off a very short distance discussing things.
Oh no. I'm gonna go see if they have a blacksmith or a worker I can get.
I'm gonna need a tavern.
I will go look for a store where they sell pick and to sell to loot.
Sure.
Out of character question, real quick. How is the loot selling handled?
So we can do that as you sell it. As you get off the ship and walk onto solid land into the town, you'll see that there's a small market set up. You can see a blacksmith's shop in the market area. There are several traders and sellers, some of food, some of equipment. You can go over to them, and if you just want to dump equipment off, you just dump it off. You take half of the normal market value. Obviously, if it's poor quality, you buy it at half, so you sell it at a quarter. If you want to get a better price, then you have to haggle, and haggling is opposed. If you both get negatives, so you both do equally as crap, then it's status quo. It only counts for successes. Oh, I will add, because you are selling goblin gear, anyone who's haggling is going to get a +10, because it's not equipment that anyone really wants. To reforge the metal is a timely process, and it's not great metal. There's lots of defects in it, and so
I think it will be more. I think it will be better if I just dump it unless someone else wants to sell who has a really high.
To be honest, I suggest that.
Question, are we dealing with taxes only if we're buying or if we're selling as well?
in this town, the merchant noble has greeted an individual. He has contacts here. You will not. Essentially, you're going to be asked, "Did you come in the riverboat?" Okay. Merchant noble, Malleus. Okay, cool. Yep. The Humperdinks. Cool. Right. No tax. Other places, it will depend on which place it is. But for this place, yeah, no taxes.
The fat bastard has his uses after all.
I'm gonna do this off stream because
That's
there is no reason.
sure.
So I'm just gonna ask no tax, so that's great.
Yeah, no tax. The NPCs will ask you, "You're from the noble ship,"
Yeah.
or you need to say, "I'm part of Humperdinks group," and it will get waived. If you guys don't want to haggle and you're just going to buy stuff off screen, you're just going to buy stuff. We can do that off screen because there aren't any proper NPCs in here. However, you are treated to a bar. So if you go southwards on your maps, you'll be given a nice little bar where you can sit down, have a drink, an actual properly decent cooked meal for once in a few weeks.
Wait, I remember this place.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
It's almost as if I've been here in my past life.
You bump your head and have a vision.
Honestly, though, Magness is a seasoned traveler and he lives on the river, so he probably was here once or twice.
It's quite possible. You've never seen a halfling drinking out of a bucket, though.
Wait, what?
It's a shame.
Our halfling character in the last season decided he was going to drink his ale out of a bucket.
Hey, look.
And
look
why
who's
would
there.
we? Why would?
Because it's the same map, it's the same city. I'm reusing assets.
Look, it, the
No,
same
no, no.
PR.
Why did he do that in the first place?
Just to be
I don't
quirky.
fucking know.
Just to be quirky. The barman was most upset. He was like, "This is a dirty bucket, and you want me to serve you ale out of it? But why? I've got a clean glass. No? The bucket? Okay."
Well, it's a halfling.
That's what everyone else said.
See, he's actually a distraction while his other halfling goes around and mugs everyone.
Sorry, technically the merchant isn't here. He's somewhere else. I'll take him over there.
Okay.
He's off the stream's view, so they can't see him. As you enter into the bar, you'll see the barman greets you all with a friendly smile. Some of the other crew are already here and have already mentioned about others will be coming. And as some of you come in, you've been with the crew for long enough, they wave you over and point to the barman. And as you come in, well, hello there, everyone. What can I get you? You have 2 drinks, prepaid, and you have a meal each, and one in the morning.
Hey. Okay.
I not go to the bar and ask for an ale.
Coming right up. He goes over to his keg, and begins pouring an ale.
Need that too.
Another one. Fair enough. Puts yours down. Black hand gives you a little nod. Starts pouring another.
And one for me too.
Would elves know what ale is?
Yes, you
We
know
would.
about
We
it.
would. It's just that this is probably so bad compared to what we're used to that, we drink it because, it's better to drink ale than water. So
You would know, that alcohol is alcohol. It will get you drunk. If you need to get drunk, you would know that ales are not particularly nice to your palates. But ale is cheap, and it is safe to drink in most cases.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, she'll take an ale as well.
Oh, well, by all means, I've never poured an ale for one of your kind. He places each ale onto the bar, giving each of you a little nod as he does so. And I, well, hope you enjoy. My wife's stew is, well, the talk of the town, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I might have some of that when I get finished my eel.
But by all means, just give us a nod and I'll get to bring some out.
Has the body been dealt with, or?
Oh yes, Lord Humperdinck has a arrangement with us. He provides us with certain goods, and we give his men lodging. Are you mercenaries or a crewman?
Boat. Here,
Yeah.
Gurn.
You can't be both. Well, so here's the
are.
deal. Crewman gets the half down here, and he points over to the fire, and you can see there are a lot of benches and chairs and things. They can sleep there. It's nice and warm. It's just not the best for your back, I suppose. Mercenaries get the common room upstairs. You get a bed, but it's shared. I believe we've got 6 beds to each room, and Lord Humperdinck's got a couple. You all command the mercenaries, so you all get a bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're mercenaries.
Aye, excellent. Well, he counts out how many there are of you. Well, you're the perfect number for a room to yourselves. So, here's the key. He hands out one key. by all means, you can keep your things in there nice and safe, and yeah, let me know if you need anything.
Will do.
Innkeeper, I have a question.
Sure.
A lot of people, you hear rumors, right? Surely you hear rumors.
Oh, aye. What rumours we
Well, when we were sailing here, we found quite a lot of floaters heading the opposite direction. The war horses too. Any caravan coming south lately?
he kind of visibly loses a bit of his happy demeanour. Lots of caravans, but only one group's come through with war horses, light war horses. They were sending a message for aid, something along those lines. Said that there could be a larger battle soon to come if he looks around at you. And how long have you all been down north? Most of you have been down north for quite some time, since the traders coming up, going north now.
Probably about 2 seasons. Why?
Oh, well, the biggest story, I suppose, that's been going around making its way north is Siegfriedhof was attacked. One of the churches to Moor was razed to the ground.
What?
Well, there was that orc warg many months ago now. Well, after the armies of the Alliance crushed it in the Badlands by the Border Princes, apparently some evildoers, some necromancers. He kind of looks around, like almost over his shoulder as he says that. They raised an army somehow and marched on Siegfriedhof. The bards up in Nulland, they've been singing songs about the heroes that saved saved the day.
Necromancers raising armies at the heart of the Empire. What has this world come to?
I know, but honestly, when you get up to Nullen, listen to the bards sing about these war bands up there. It's quite impressive what small groups did. But the church at Moor, that was something terrible, and we had the noble, an envoy or a messenger or some sorts was looking for aid. I'm sorry to hear that you found them in the river. They were good people.
It's never nice when someone dies before their time.
They are in the kingdom of Moor now.
Well, the defender of Siegfriedhof, he was a relation to a second cousin or some such. She was, she said, on his orders and the orders of some priest of Moor. The aid was to ride with all due haste to Siegfriedhof.
Do you know the name?
Of the nobles, of the woman, no. It was her guards that spoke to us. She seemed a bit uppity, to be honest. She didn't really interact with any of us peasants. Let's put it that way.
I want the nobles. What can you do?
But she paid well, and she didn't mistreat anyone. So, sad news. But up north, Nullen's had its own problems. They had, luckily they caught it quickly. They had a small plague, wiped out a lot of the labourers and the peasants again. But like I said, they got it in control rather quick. But they're looking for as many labourers as they can get, which he gestures round. Is why you'll probably see fewer and fewer people, young folk in our towns and, well, settlements.
Alright, well,
Well, here's to hoping that we're finally gonna see improvement. And I just down a bit of ale.
He takes a smaller mug from underneath the bar and raises it as well. And and to heroes like the Bloody Rain Warband, that was one of them. And takes a small sip before putting his mug back under the bar. I can't remember the other one.
It is almost as if they had no name.
Bloody rainbow.
Bloody Rain.
Yeah, the Warband of the Bloody
Bloody
Rain, he said.
The other one was the name.
To see if I heard of the Bloody Rain.
The bar is, after an hour or so of you sitting down and just getting comfortable by the fire or on a sat at a table, taking in a bit of the world and enjoying the sturdiness of the ground beneath you. You would notice that there's not that many people in town. As he said, very few young men. There are a lot of children. You see a lot of the older, middle-aged individuals who have got multiple children, wives, are walking around pregnant with little ones in tow. But the fighting strong, you don't see many at all. Only as you look round the markets would you see the blacksmith, for example, has an apprentice, and the woodcrafter, I don't know why I called him a woodcrafter, has an apprentice. But unless they have a reason, it seems as if a lot have moved on.
okay.
You would notice, as you sit and watch the world, that the merchant noble comes soldiering through the door. He sways and jiggles as he enters, and looks very happily at the barman. Doesn't say anything, but like gestures with his hand and takes over an entire table to himself as food and... Is that the same token? No, I think that's a woman. As food and drink are brought over to his table, filling the table. He gives a gesture to the barman as his wife just comes and goes with food and drink, and a fine bottle is brought out from underneath the bar, and the barman takes over the bottle and the glass, takes the cork out and pours it to Lord Humperdinck. A small purse is passed over discreetly, and as the barman wakes his way back, you can see him not so discreetly thumbing the small purse and weighing with his hand. It appears as if everything is there. He seems quite happy as he places it under the table. Lord Humperdinck has, as he sways in, his great girth jiggling from side to side, he almost has a childish step to him as he swaggers his way in and takes a seat. And you can see that the rings of sweat within his treble chin are glistening so brightly at the moment. It almost is if he has a halo around his neck.
He has a what around his neck? Sorry.
A halo, an aura.
Okay.
After I have drunk my ale and ate my soup, I will go to the market and dump the.
Sure. The general merchant just kind of agrees upon the price, shaking his head, grimacing, and just as you dump this crap onto his stall, just kind of looks at himself like, what have I done?
For the record, it's 48 gold.
Cool.
Divided over 5 or it?
It's 5 or 6.
6 of you, including yourself.
No, we're 5.
Oh, sorry, I'm
we?
counting the Soon Raccoon. Sorry, that's my fault.
Yeah, so 48 gold crowns, you said?
Sorry, my bad.
Actually,
By 5.
It's
I already divided this before.
9.6 gold. 9 gold and the minute.
I believe it's 6 silver.
12 silver.
Is it?
0.6
Is
times
it 12?
20.
Is it?
20.
Is it 20 silver to a gold in this,
9
or is it
pi-
10?
Yeah,
Okay,
20,
sorry.
20
Yes,
to 1.
20 silver.
So I got confused with D&D for a moment then.
So,
Yeah, it's on the sheet. 20 silver for 1 gold and 240.
Oh, after I've done that, I go past everyone, give them 10 gold, make some, greet them, and go them back. The humans a bit more. The humans get a bit of a bigger smile than the.
So how much gold are we getting?
9 gold and 12 shillings.
So, yeah, 9 gold and 12 silver.
God damn.
Okay. So out of character, has the body been taken care of, or was I?
I will be gone for X amount of time. I think it will be an hour or 2. I don't know how long I will be gone.
Oh, is that in real? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll end it in just a second, and if you want to add 100 XP to your sheet,
Okay.
you can
Right.
easily find someone who looks official enough to say we have a corpse. It's on Sir Humperdinck's vessel, and they will nod begrudgingly, take a few details off you. Basically, don't tell them that it's plague. Would you tell them that it's plague?
No.
Okay.
I think we would have told him it's.
Okay then. So yeah, they'll take the body. You see men go off to take the body off the boat.
Where did we put the dagger and locket?
In the boat's inventory, I think.
Yeah.
Can
I
go-
mean, I have written it down in the boat's inventory. I think I am the one who has it on him.
Everyone can access the boat to store stuff if you want to, like, store shit that you don't want to carry on you, for example.
Question. Did you ever tell us about the locket?
I think you were all there to see the locket, and I do believe that Casper
Yeah.
did say that it's from Siegfried Hoff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we actually all know about the locket.
Yes, I believe you do all know about it, because it was a big thing.
What about the dagger? It's not on the boat, or does Blackhand have it?
Dagger. Forgot to. So just give a quick inventory.
Oh, of what you found off the corpse?
She made the
Yes,
gold
dagger.
locket and a mastercrafted dagger.
Yes, mastercrafted dagger, and technically it's a locket which is gold and silver. But rather, just put gold locket. It's for me to know that it's ivory and silver for the. Never mind.
Yeah.
So sure, what we will do is we will end the episode off here. So in the next episode, you can perhaps have a poke around in town before going to sleep. See if there's anything that you could perhaps do to earn yourselves a little bit more gold. But we'll find out what the team does in the next episode. So I hope you've all enjoyed watching, and my players have enjoyed scaring the living shit out of their employer.
Yeah, that was fun.
I look forward to seeing everyone in the next episode. So take care, everyone, and as always, bye bye for now.